Hello, and welcome to the Free Black Girl Podcast. This is a space for joyful healing, learning, and collective liberation. My name is Najma Ahmed, and you are listening to a series of mini podcast episodes called Lessons from Liberation. If you've been here before, I need you to go ahead and hit like and subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a 5-star review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. I want the podcast to continue to reach more people, and that really helps me out. Also, share this podcast with someone you think needs to hear it. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I shared in the first season of my podcast all the ways in which I got free from unhealed trauma, people pleasing, and really from any person, place, or thing causing me to betray myself. Now, these lessons from liberation are based on what I learned after asking myself, now what? In the last episode, I talked about pausing in uncertainty and discomfort so we can expand our capacity to be in the unknown. Knowing that our highest and greatest expression of our lives is outside of our comfort zone, we have to be able to stay present while being uncomfortable. But then a powerful thing actually happens. You reawaken your capacity for curiosity. You can now feel into your body to turn on your discernment. As you see a field of endless possibilities, you start to intuit the direction that your journey can now take. Let's jump into this week's lesson. When you are uncomfortable with discomfort and you don't want to be present while you are in the unknown, you miss everything around you. You miss the things that may be hidden because fear is blocking it. You're not going to be curious if you feel that a saber-toothed tiger is going to jump out at any second and rip your face off. Our brains evolved in this way to keep us safe. But when you're able to calm your nervous system, when you're able to allow yourself to feel safe, even in situations that may feel daunting, when real life is happening all around you, when you're able to still regulate yourself through that fear, you can start to look around at this new world outside of your comfort zone. So I use the analogy of a video game a lot, but it's just like that. When you're playing an open world video game and you get to a new level, it's just open. There's no door leading back to where you just left. The map isn't showing you where you're supposed to go. It's just you and the trees and maybe some paths ahead. So if you were too afraid of the unknown, you would just stand there. Or if you did move forward, but you were afraid and not really present in the experience, you may just speed through the game. But you would miss out on so much that would have helped you along the way. And at the very least, it would have made it more fun and pleasurable for you. In your life, in this period of transition, as you move into this new world that we all are really in one way or another, when you become curious about the new possibilities that you weren't able to see before in your previous phase, as you move forward, you start to see new people emerging around you. You get curious about them. You start to have conversations, and then you realize, maybe I want to collaborate with that person. Or you wonder what they might be able to teach you about this new world that you're in. When you're curious, you get to thinking about what else might be out there for me? And then you go exploring. This is where you get to have fun. This is where you get to just try things out. I really feel like we need to bring back the magic of just pondering on a thought and not rushing to have the answer, not rushing to solve everything. I said the other day, I actually blame the way that we are educated, especially as millennials. Those time spelling tests and math quizzes, they built up this pressure in us. It's the way that we're socialized, that we have to know the answer and we have to know it right now. Why was that even necessary? What was the reason that we needed to put a stopwatch on our ability to process information, on our ability to think? I like to sit with my thoughts. But my whole life and my career, we were sitting in meetings and you're expected to know everything right now. And while I'm able to do that, my brain is able to process very quickly, but I don't like it. That's not my natural inclination. I like to take a minute to take a beat and to really let the idea wash over me, to see how do I feel about the idea and not just what I think about it. Because when something's not fully fleshed out in my head, I can literally feel the tension. I feel my synapses firing. And so I just want to sit with it for a minute. Sometimes I just close my eyes and let myself feel it and breathe. And then I can see it. I can see the different angles to it. But then when I let go, that's when the downloads come through. That's discernment in action. That's the piece of magic that we often want to rush through to have the right answer immediately. And it's not that urgent, but we often go from curiosity straight to direction, and we skip the discernment. We need to be able to discern what is for us, what feels right to us, not what we are necessarily being taught to believe is right for us. I want you to journal this. Ask yourself, what are all of the possibilities that your life could take right now? And don't censor yourself. Come up with as many possibilities as you can. Don't think about what's realistic or how you're going to do it or what's going to make you the most money. Now look at each possibility and get curious about the type of life that version of yourself would live within that possibility. What would their days be like? What kind of people would be around them? What kinds of experiences would they have? And as you read these, feel into your body. Which ones excite you, even if they make you a bit nervous, even if you don't know the how of it all? And then think about which of these possibilities actually make your stomach drop. Which one of them feels constricting to you? Can you allow yourself to move towards the excitement? I feel like this is going to be so important, as right now we live in a society where we are told not to believe what we see and feel to be true with our own eyes. Curiosity and discernment become new skills for survival and for world building. So for example, when I was thinking about my content creation, as I've been creating for 2 years now, I was thinking about how I want to evolve in delivering what I have to say and how I can reach more people. So the other day I was curious as I was reading some things about Jay-Z and how he is deciding to partner with Target for an exclusive release of his anniversary vinyl and CD of one of his albums, the 30th anniversary. And it got me to thinking about how this also happened with him in the NFL. When many Black folks were boycotting the NFL over Colin Kaepernick, they brought in Jay-Z to lead the halftime show production. And I thought, maybe I want to start in my content talking more about what's happening in the culture, but through my lens of collective liberation and the impact of capitalism and stomping out movements. Granted, this is a lot of nuance that I was betting on people understanding on social media. I know, I get it. But I made this post, right? And the other night, it goes viral overnight. There's like tens of thousands of views in the matter of a few hours. There's over 1,000 comments and shares. But somebody actually pointed out in the comments that this happened with Jay-Z before, with the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, when they were protesting about the gentrification of that neighborhood, eminent domain taking away people's homes. They brought in Jay-Z, and he was the face of it, and he was doing exclusive concerts. But on this post, that comment section was so toxic. People were attacking each other. People were attacking me. People were arguing. There were conspiracy theories that had nothing to do with anything that I said. There were also people agreeing with me in the point that I was making. Reflecting on it, my curiosity led me to make the posts, as I was wondering what kind of content that I wanted to make now as I'm evolving. And I was correct in the sense that this was something that would be engaging for people and expanding my reach. But my discernment, when I felt what was happening, the toxicity, the negativity, my discernment led me to know that this is not quite the kind of content that I want to do and engage in that way. So I actually ended up archiving the post because I just didn't want to create another environment where we're fighting each other. That's not my jam. But then the direction came out of this that I know what leads to engagement, but let me see how can I use my powers for good. Let me continue to be curious. Let me continue to see how I can talk about what's happening in the world and in our culture, but in the way that I want to talk about it, in a productive way. I know we're going to have to navigate our new world guided by curiosity and discernment leading our direction, because the world that we're living in has rapidly changed. AI is everywhere, but common sense is not. These systems benefit from our lack of curiosity. The systems benefit from us not using our discernment. The status quo requires us to keep following the direction of what we've always done, not questioning it, and being so much in fear that we can't pause to look around, to look within, to look to each other. That's also why, as people become more curious and discerning, we are seeing the end of celebrity culture, and people are craving what feels real and true for our everyday lives. I think that's also at the heart of what I was getting at with this, being curious about this pattern with Jay-Z and capitalism and our movements. And so many other celebrities, not just Jay-Z, but who are brought in when we start thinking a little bit too critically, when we start pushing back on the status quo, they bring in these figures to change the conversation. And that's an objective fact. This has happened over and over again. When we're curious and we examine, we see these patterns. And as someone who is also a sociologist who has been trained in sociology and gender and diversity studies and organizational conflict and facilitation, I know how to examine systems. I know how to be curious. I spent my whole life wondering why things are the way that they are, wondering why they can't be different, wondering why we settle for the things that we settle for, wondering how we can change it. And, as I was making this episode, as I was talking this out, I realized that perhaps this is the direction that my content is going in, that my work is going in. And now you see it in action. My curiosity plus my discernment has led me to my next direction. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe and leave me a comment and a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I really hope that these lessons from liberation help you to grow, as you being in community with me helps me to grow. And as always, I want this to be a conversation. So tell me, what are you curious about? What is your discernment telling you about what might be next for you?